Parliamentary elections, official campaigning for the vote has begun. The campaigning will end just 24 hours before the voting starts. Over 48 million people are eligible to vote in the elections on March the 2nd. Some 4 million people are first-time voters. Iran's Guardian Council would supervise as the elections has cleared some 3,400 candidates to run in the ballot. The last parliamentary elections in Iran were held in 2008, in which the principalist candidates won an overwhelming majority. Prominent Egyptian presidential candidate Abdul Munaim Abul Futuh has been wounded in an apparent carjacking in Cairo. Abul Futuh suffered a concussion after 3 armed men assaulted him on Cairo's Ring Road and stole his car. In a statement, his campaign says Abul Futuh was wounded by blows to the head with a rifle butt as he tried to defend his driver. The driver was also wounded in the incident. Abul Futuh is a former senior member of the Muslim Brotherhood. He is considered as one of the most popular candidates running for the presidency. Egypt is to hold a presidential election by the end of June. Police have reported a spike in crime after dictator Hosni Mubarak was overthrown last year. Well, Greece making news again. Experts there who have held an open conference on the debt-stricken country's immediate future have called on the government to abandon the euro. Press TV's Konstantin Venizelos has more.
Economy experts gather at the Athens Pandion University to discuss Greece's development in the weeks and months ahead, while the Greek government legislates the country's most severe austerity package so far in its 4-year recession crisis. They say the crisis is a result of Greece's participation in the European Monetary Union and the external borrowing of the country, and that the 2010 Memorandum Agreement is one of the most inadequate economic plans ever drafted. The memorandum failed because it was implemented, not because it wasn't, as EU leaders now say. They also say the decision to begin reducing the labour costs of EU member states was taken in 1997, while European industrialists have been planning since 2002 the close monitoring of all EU economies.
For Greece, right now, remaining in the euro and keeping under these policies is the worst-case scenario. So the only choice for Greece right now is to do a citizens-led default, to default on its creditors, exit from the Eurozone and rebuild the economy under public control and for the interests of working people.
They also argue that the crisis is used by capitalist forces to reverse labour law back to the 19th century, and that labour flexibility is a neoliberal excuse, so as to reduce labour costs and implement too many measures in a small amount of time, damaging true growth.
The deeper the debt crisis gets, the gravest is the threat to democracy. It needs to consider seriously defaulting of its own accord and slashing its debts deeply. The political regime in Greece is reaching a dead end and the country is immobile politically. I think the tectonic plates of mass unrest are about to move, and I think that's going to set new terms of political action and political mobilization in the country.
They have also called for a logistical control committee to be set up urgently in order to check the country's debt and the repayment methods if these are ever maintained. It is firmly predicted that Greece will exit the euro currency in the next few weeks and go back to the drachma, even if the first few months will be strenuous and uncertain. But development can begin gradually. With imports from the EU stopped, Greek production will be eventually revived, and the pressure will then be reversed back to the European banks. According to the speakers, independence from the European Union is a key prerequisite for the development of current and oncoming political forces that could see the country even begin to battle the recession. Greek politicians had warned as early as 1962, when Greece first pledged its allegiance to the European Union, that industrial production and labour relations would in the future be debased in Greece and across the European continent as a result of the monetary union. Konstantin Venizelos, Press TV, Athens.
India and over 24 other countries are proposing the launch of an all-out trade war against the European Union and register a protest against the bloc's imposition of a carbon tax. The EU has taken this decision arbitrarily and aims to collect billions of dollars each year in the form of tax imposed on flights landing in the Eurozone. Our correspondent Sanjay Sethi reports from New Delhi.
With the European Union refusing to withdraw the unilateral carbon tax on flyers from other nations, India, along with Russia, the United States, Brazil and China, and another 21 nations have decided to retaliate. The EU is planning to impose the carbon tax on flyers, which would raise over $1.5 billion in its coffers and raise it further in the years ahead. The decision to retaliate came after the meetings of 26 countries in Moscow on Wednesday.
Interestingly, in this case, the United States is also part of this group of 26 countries. So I think there is a case for all these major players to look at the linkages between what might be seen as trade warfare and the linkage with the larger collective objective of dealing with carbon emissions in an equitable manner.
Charging additional levies on EU airlines and other aircraft operators and reviewing all bilateral and other operating agreements are among the various options that are likely to be explored by these countries. All such moves will make flying from India into the Eurozone countries an expensive affair, and flights in and out of these countries could also be further reduced.
The fact that 26 countries have chosen this particular path of giving an ultimatum to the Eurozone airlines is an indicator that obviously this cooperation is not adequate. So I think some urgent steps are required politically to look at this issue and ensure that the average airline passenger does not pay the price for this lack of cooperation.
Should India take a decision and issue orders for all its airlines operating from the country not to pay EU carbon tax, countries like Brazil and Russia are also expected to do the same, as China has already done so.
Perhaps if countries like India and China, which again is a big player because of the numbers, are able to harmonize their positions, I think we might see some movement.
The number of aviation hours will grow at an average of 2.5% a year through 2030. Airlines are also looking at ways to reduce carbon emissions and are working on technologies to make jet engines more fuel efficient. Changes in design and introduction of lightweight materials are the changes that are likely to be seen in the years ahead, thereby reducing operational costs and offset their carbon footprints. Analysts say the aviation industry in India is facing a severe financial crisis, with a number of airlines making losses. An EU carbon tax will only make flying costlier, something the airlines would best like to avoid. Sanjay Sethi, Press TV, New Delhi.
With just over a week left until the presidential election in Russia, candidates are doing their best to rally popular support behind themselves. Among the 5 running candidates, Prime Minister Vladimir Putin, who is widely expected to win the March 4th vote, seems to be ahead. Meanwhile, as allegations of vote rigging have tainted the ruling United Russia Party, calls for a fair and free election have intensified. Here's more.
Thursday, February 23rd, Moscow. These people are all supporters of Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin. The rally, which drew tens of thousands of people, fell on the national holiday called Defenders of the Fatherland, a celebration of the Russian armed forces.
On Defenders of the Fatherland Day, we are defending our fatherland and defending the presidential candidate Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, and we are helping him to become the president. And we will help our people to serve the fatherland. If there is any poor work, if bureaucrats act up, we will make them better.
Later, the marchers gathered here in Luzhniki to hear a speech by their favorite candidate, who addressed them with gratitude.
I cannot embrace each one of you and cannot shake hands with every one of you. But I see everything, and I thank you for your support and for your moral help. I thank you for your every vote.
Emotions were running high among Putin's supporters who said they back his bid for office because he has proven himself during his 12 years in power.
For many decades, he has proven that he is a strong and serious politician, that his political course has been tested many times. Our country has risen from its knees and will show all of Europe and America that with him we are the strongest ones.
Elsewhere in Moscow, two other presidential candidates, Communist Gennady Zyuganov and Liberal Democrat Vladimir Zhirinovsky, led rallies of their own. There, the dominant mood was against Putin, with protesters carrying banners that read, "Russia without Putin." Demonstrators said the current premier would not win the vote if it was free and fair. Now, Russians who say the December parliamentary elections were rigged in favor of the ruling United Russia Party have called for a more transparent vote.
It's interesting really what will happen, because the previous elections were really troubled. It wasn't clear how Vladimir Putin's United Russia Party got 140%. I hope that this time will be fairer, and I hope that more responsible people will take the right step and elect who's needed.
In the U.S. state of Georgia, severe storms have damaged up to 100 homes and left thousands without electricity. Well, dozens of trees in Georgia's Floyd County have been uprooted. There are no reports of injuries yet. The National Weather Service team is exploring the possibility that the damage was caused by a tornado. Forecasters warn, though, that a new round of storms could rip through northwest Georgia Thursday night and early Friday. The tornado season in the U.S. does not normally begin until March. However, strong storms have already hit southern U.S. states this year. Well, that we come to an end of World News here on Press TV. Don't forget to log on to our website, presstv.ir, for more details on these stories and a lot more. It's bye for now. Top of the hour, I'll be back with the news in brief. Don't go away.